Happy Friday, everybody. It is, this is Amy Bennett with the AM Show. I'm so glad that you're here. We made it. It's Friday. We had our little 2-day little week yesterday. Did yesterday not feel, I saw this on, I think, Facebook and Instagram. Yesterday felt like the Mondayest Thursday ever. Everybody on our meetings yesterday kept saying, in meetings, yeah, on Friday, because I kept feeling it was Monday and that Tuesday was our Friday. It was very confusing yesterday. Anyway, I am glad to have a Friday again. It's like our second Friday of this week, which is awesome. But anyway, I probably should have brought some tissues out here because my cold has gotten a little bit worse. It seems like I got up, it all came out. Maybe I'll be okay while we talk. So, wow, I am doing something a little bit different. You'll see I'm seated on my back porch, and I was talking and praying about something else this morning and just really feel led to just give a little bit of a testimony and share a little bit of my personal story of how God has been working in my life with specifically my health, my son's health, and just how God has been working. So this is probably going to last a little bit longer than normal. So if you want to cut to the chase, here's what I want to say. God works all things together for good. God answers prayers before you even have a problem and know to pray about them. And God is weaving together, when you follow Him, God is weaving together your health, your healing, and your wholeness, and you don't even know it. Okay, so you can quit watching and take that with you. That personally, I can tell you that God is awesome, and when you follow Him, He is working it all out. And I worry, and it's amazing to see how He uses circumstances, uses people for beneficial good. And this morning, what I want to, so that's the short version, if you want to hear. This is going to be a longer version, okay? I actually want to attempt to tell you how God has been working specifically in my life, my son's life, to bring health and healing. I have mentioned it on a couple of these morning videos, that it's just amazing how God has worked to bring us the doctors and people in our lives in order to bring us health and wellness. And I really believe I just really believe it's God. And so what I actually did is, because we're so high tech around here, I actually drew on my notebook with some Sharpie. And I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but I'm gonna do the best that I can. This is backwards for you guys. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to write backwards so that you would be able to see it. And if I were fancy, I could like share my screen from my desktop and draw this out as we went. But we don't have that. So, and that's not the important thing. The important thing at the end of this is you're gonna see that God has been working, okay? All right, so stick with me if you want to hear the story of how God has been working in my health and wellness. And let me just say, this came from the fact that yesterday, so for those that don't know, I've been struggling we adopted 4 years ago, and I have just been kind of stressed like for 4 years. God has brought me emotional healing through that, and I have been struggling with just being exhausted for a very long time. I have been I actually went to my regular doctor finally a year ago and said, I'm done. I just cried in her office. I was so tired. And I'm like, I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired of being tired. And I had been tired. And so cut to the chase, I was being treated for adrenal fatigue this summer. And yesterday I was feeling so good. It was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, when normally I would want to be napping for like 3 hours. And I'm like, I have too much energy just to be sitting here. And I stopped and I was like, oh my gosh, like I have energy, extra energy in the afternoon. And it's just been amazing, the changes. Like I really, really, really feel different than I did even a month ago. And so definitely God has been bringing healing to me physically. Okay, So let me share how I got to these doctors, okay? Y'all hang in. Okay, so here is the dates. This is starting way back in 2014. And then in the middle here are some events that have been going on in those times. And then we've got some people that have been involved with those events along the way. So this is kind of like my life in this scenario. I'm like in these scenarios the past couple years. Okay, so let me start way back here. So way back in 2014, we had, I hosted a small group of people at my mom's house, the If Gathering. So that's through Jenny Allen. And I hosted a small group of people at my house for that gathering. It was amazing, and we had a great time. And yeah, it was good. I just had some close friends at my mom's house. She hosted us, had lunch. It was great. Okay. Some of these are going to seem disconnected, and then I'm going to refer back to them. Okay. That summer, 2014, is when we adopted Jacob. By the fall, I was super stressed out. My hair was falling out. I was just, you can look at our family pictures in fall of 2014, and my hair is very thin. I was very stressed. It was not going well. Okay, so that fall, this girl named Wendy I went to high school with, she randomly reached out to me. We were friendly, but we were not friends in high school. And she asked if, she had seen that we adopted, and she asked that we could have lunch at Moe's. And so I said, yes, let's have lunch at Moe's. And she was telling me, she shared some of the struggles that she has had since childhood, and she was sharing with me some of the counseling that she had been through. And at the time, because we had just adopted, I was like, oh, maybe I need to go see a counselor because this is really stressful. But she told me the girl's name, and I kind of tucked that away back in my brain and didn't do anything with it. Didn't reach out for counseling or anything at that time. But that was my friend Wendy. Okay, the next year, 2015, I met my friend Bet. She decided she wanted to have host the If Gathering in York County, across York County. So do it at a larger scale. She saw that I had done If the previous year and reached out to me, and we met at Starbucks. I didn't know her, but she had just saw me through the If Gathering website and saw that I had hosted the year before locally and wanted to know just some tips and tricks, actually. So Bet and I became friends then, and she was the host, and I helped. She actually gathered a large team to actually host the If Gathering it ended up being at was that the year it was at my church? I think we were doing it somewhere else. No, I think we ended up doing it at my church. And so at the time, I met this gal named Heather. Not my sister Heather, a different Heather. And at the time also, my friend Amanda was at the church, and she helped. So Heather, Amanda, and I, and also my friend Kathleen, anyway, we all kind of got to know each other through Bet, okay? So all of this is going on. We became friends at that time, and I mentioned my church here. I knew Amanda already through my church, but like we knew each other, we weren't really friends. But through If, like we all got closer. And I remember when I first met Heather, there was really like this God thing where I saw her and I'm like, I'm supposed to be friends with her. She, since then, has told me that when she saw me, she was like, I want to be friends with Amy. And it was just instantly kind of like this God connection that we just knew we were supposed to be friends with each other, and we wanted to be friends with each other. It was kind of cool. Okay, so that was a big connection with Heather, and Amanda and I began becoming better friends. So through all of this, 2015, and then I didn't write it on here, but 2016, we had another If where Bet, Heather, Amanda, and Kathleen and I were all working together with some other people to host If again at our church. So we're continuing to stay connected. We're meeting through the year to plan. We're staying connected. I think Heather and Amanda began being really good friends, actually the two of them specifically. And it comes to last summer, and by the way, I'm getting worse and worse. Jacob is struggling with ADHD. I'm struggling with my health. I'm struggling with Jacob. Just all the stress, and our relationship is strained. Okay, things aren't really bad, but like I'm stressed because of it. And Scott doesn't seem to be stressed in the same way I'm stressed. He's handling it just differently, but I am. Okay, so things are this is when last summer this is when I go to last March, it got really bad. I'm doing really bad. I'm going to my doctor and I'm crying. And I'm like, I'm so tired of being tired. Okay. So I'm kind of, I'm limping along. At the same time I'm working, I'm doing my podcast, you know, I'm staying busy, which is part of the problem, by the way. But anyway, I celebrate last summer 100 feathers. I did 100 episodes of Feathers, and I host over at Amelie's. It's a little French bakery in the next town, and Heather comes to it, and Amanda comes to it, and Kathleen comes to it, and we're all there, and a lot of things happen. But one of the things that we decided that weekend is that Heather wanted to invite us out. She had moved to the coast, Emerald Isle, out to the coast by this time, and decided she wanted to host us all for a weekend out at Emerald Isle. Okay, so we decided then that we're going to do that. Okay, what's next? Okay, this last fall, okay, by the way, at the time at the doctor's, my doctor just wanted to put me on anxiety medicine, or antidepressants basically, and I said no, that's not what I wanted. At the time I began to really search out what my issue was, whether it was thyroid issues. Everything began to point to the fact that I needed a functional doctor, and that means we needed to get to the root of the problem and not just kind of solve it with pharma, basically. And I'm doing a lot of research around thyroid. I'm doing a lot of research about diet. I'm doing a lot of research. Okay, so at this time, I'm figuring out that, you know, I need to really dig into my health. Okay, and I felt like I had to do it kind of on my own because the medical doctors I had were not giving me the solutions that I felt like I needed. So that's what I'm doing. At the same time that summer, I also got added to a Facebook group for adoptive families. I still do not know how I got into this adoptive family group on Facebook. I don't know who added me. But anyway, come to find out, God works through Facebook groups, if you can believe it. Come to find out that the leader, and in this Facebook group, the leader was hosting support groups the first Friday of every month, and I could never make it. But I realized that and I don't have this on here. I don't have my Facebook group. I need to have my Facebook group on here as a thing. The leader of the Facebook group was this gal up here, Wendy's counselor. So the gal that she mentioned 3 years ago, Wendy, mentioned her counselor. Her counselor's name was Megan. And Megan was a girl's name that I had tucked in the back of my brain. And it turns out that this gal specializes in adoptive families and helps to counsel them. Okay, so I met her that last summer, which is totally amazing. Like, can you even believe like that connection? Like, I still don't. It was not Wendy that added me to that Facebook. I don't know how, but I got connected back to this gal that I initially was introduced to back then. Okay, so that Facebook group I should have right there. I got introduced to Megan. So last fall, I started counseling with Megan. Things got really bad. I remember there was a night that Scott worked, that Thursday. I was trying to get Jacob ready for school, and I like literally felt like I was losing my mind and said, okay, enough is enough. I need to get help. And nothing terrible happened. I just want to say that. Nothing terrible happened. Just like internally, I was just so upset. I needed help. I emailed Megan that day, and she got to see me that Sunday. She agreed to see me like 2 days later on Sunday. So I started counseling at the end of 2017, last winter. It was amazing. I highly recommend counseling for every single person that is out there. Okay. So while I was talking to Megan, I learned a lot about the effect of trauma on bodies and just being an adoptive parent altogether, and trauma in our own lives. And one of the things that she recommended to me that I have talked about on this morning video before is the book, The Body Keeps the Score. And so she actually recommended several books. If you want to know those, I can tell you those. But one of them was The Body Keeps the Score. I've talked about that, the effect of trauma on your physical body and how our body stores trauma. And so the first part of the book is how we handle trauma. The second part of the book is different therapies that you can do. Turns out one of the therapies in there is called Internal Family Systems, with IFS, which is the therapy that I went through with Megan. And it's just a way to process all the different things that are going on, and identifies where the trauma started and helps you heal from that. I can't even begin to explain it all, but that was just the therapy type of therapy that I got, called IFS. Okay, so 2018, I'm getting close, guys. Thanks for hanging in there. 2018, we go to Emerald Isle, out to the beach with Heather, Kathleen, me, Bet, her friend Tana. So we're all, Kathleen, did I say that? Amanda, Kathleen, Tana, Bet. Anyway, we all go out and see Heather at the beach, and we have an amazing weekend. Heather just totally spoiled us. She cooked dinner. Well, she cooked all of our meals for us. She gave us all massages. We just kind of had our own prayer time. We walked on the beach. It was very low key. We did yoga. It was just absolutely amazing. But one of the big things that we talked about is all of us, how we all, our health, like our emotional health. We talked a lot about counseling. We talked a lot about, the body keeps the score. We just talked a lot about trauma. I talked about, Jacob. My friend Amanda had some stuff going on with her son. She talked about that. So in the meantime of all of that, I found Heather had a mutual friend named Anne Marie, and Amanda was wanting to connect with her. She does counseling and stuff, and Heather had done some counseling with her. And I believe that my friends would be, Heather and Amanda, I hope you're okay with me sharing that. Sorry, guys. I believe because of the point I'm trying to make, it would be okay. So Anne-Marie is out here, and I'm introduced to Anne-Marie, and I think I had heard of her like through Heather through all the years. Anyway, so then there's Anne-Marie. Okay, so after we leave here, I'm finishing the book, The Body Keeps the Score, that I was introduced to, right? Okay, and in the book, one of the therapies that they say that helps specifically with ADHD is called neurofeedback, okay? And when I got done with that chapter, it was late at night, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is what Jacob needs. And I emailed Megan, my counselor, and said, you gave me this book. There's this thing called neurofeedback. I think it's exactly what Jacob needs. Do you think so too? And if you do you know somebody in the Charlotte area that would do that? And she says, yes, I totally agree that he needs that. And I've heard really good results from this place. And so she told me. Okay, so in the meantime, I am tracking down this whole neurofeedback thing. My friend Amanda is continuing to tell me about her son and some therapies that he is getting. So 2 totally different tracks. I'm tracing down this neurofeedback thing. She's telling me about this neurotransmitter test her son is getting, and some diet changes they're making, and all of this stuff. And I'm like, man, like, who are you going to see to do that? Because that sounds like the kind of doctor that I need to see for Jacob. Guess what? It turns out that the same place that Megan recommends for neurofeedback, and the same person that she is going to see, Amanda's going to see for her son, is Anne-Marie at this place called Access Counseling Center. So turns out Anne-Marie is actually helping Amanda with her son. I'm searching for a place for neurofeedback, and it ends up being Anne-Marie. Is that not crazy? Is it not crazy? And like all of a sudden my 2 worlds totally collided. And the thing that I have been chasing through my thing, and the thing that Amanda's been telling about, totally collided to Anne-Marie at Access Counseling Center. So that for me was like total confirmation. It's like, okay, like big green light, like that is where we need to go. So we go and we see her. While she's telling us about Jacob, she's telling us about this neurotransmitter test that Amanda's son had done that she wants to do for Jacob too. And she begins to talking a little bit about herself, and I'm like, I need that. Like, and because I'm still struggling with my health, and I'm like, I need that. I need something that sounds exactly what I need to do. So she says yes. She was like, I did it, and guess what? I have a functional doctor that I personally go see, that you need to go see. And so through Anne-Marie, I find Dr. Fletcher. Dr. Fletcher is a functional doctor in Charlotte, and Jacob ends up doing the neurotransmitter test. I end up doing the neurotransmitter test, but I go see, and he's doing the neurotransmitter test in order to do this neurofeedback, which we have started since then. And then I go see Dr. Fletcher. She looks at all my blood work. She looks at this, and that's when she figures out that I have adrenal fatigue. She helps me figure out my blood work. I'm low on iron. I'm low on vitamin D. So she gives me all these supplements. She changes my thyroid medication. And here we are, so I saw her at the beginning of May. So here we are. I'm finally getting to this doctor that I needed a long time ago. Jacob is finally getting the therapy that he needs. And all of this. So here's the thing I want to say. I believe that what we're getting, the treatment that Jacob and I are getting this summer with neurofeedback, with our neurotransmitter tests, with our supplements, all of this is really getting the healing that we need. And it's been amazing to see even the difference that we've seen in Jacob with just diet changes, not even the neurofeed, but with just diet changes, has been amazing. Huge difference. I'm like, it's really hard for me not to yell out at everybody if I see things and I'm like, this is what you need to do. You need to go get this test, and you need to take this out of your diet, and blah, blah, blah. And so this is what I want you to see, is that all the way here, I got to these people, but the connections I made started in 2014, 4 years ago, before we even adopted, before I even had health problems, before I even had a child that needed therapy. God was making connections for me that would lead to our health and wholeness. Because that's 4 years. I didn't even have a problem when God was beginning to lay the foundation of all the connections that I needed to get to my health and healing. Okay, somebody give me a like, somebody give me a love, somebody comment, please tell me that you guys are getting the fact that that God has worked through all of these things. God has worked through all of these people. God has started working and answering prayers before I even had a problem. And the fact that he worked that all together, and we ended up at the places that we are, with the doctors that we need, with the therapies that we need. This is what I just think is so amazing, how God works. And if you look at the things that are in here, it is an if gathering. It's a lunch at Moe's. We are just going where we're going to church. It's through my podcast. It's through celebrating my podcast, if you will. It's going to the beach. It's through a book. It's through a Facebook group. All of these things that we feel like are just, God's not in. God has nothing to do with that. That's just me living my life. God is using all those and working it together and tying it all together. Oh my gosh, it's already 8 o'clock, guys. I've been talking for so long. But tying all of this together for good. And I don't even think, and we're just at the beginning, I believe. I think this is just going to keep going. And look at Bella wants out. Do you want out? This is my life. Opening and closing doors for the dog. And I just think this is going to keep going. Yes, Leighton, his hand is in everything. Everything. And all of these things, I feel like God has led me in. Even when I was doing the If Gathering in 2014, Lord, should I do the If Gathering? How is that, going to work? Should we celebrate feathers, for the 100th episode? And God guided me to how to do that and who to invite, and, whether it was time to do counseling. I don't even know how. Some things we can't even plan, like the Facebook group and all of that. But I just want to share that, because I just want you to see today the things that God is leading you to today. Please seek Him in everything you do, and God is going to be able to work it together for your good, for your wholeness, for your healing, and for His glory, and for the good of those who love them, and for the good of those who we have influence too. So thank you for listening, those that have stuck through, and I hope that little bit of testimony will encourage you that God is working in your life, even though it doesn't seem like it. He is bringing the people together when you're seeking Him and paying attention to the connections that you need to make, and just believe He is on your side, and He's going to do you good. So I want to leave you with that this Friday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And I want to just say real quick, I didn't say good morning to everybody. I know people have jumped off here, but I want to say good morning to Stephanie and Darian and Jenny. My husband was watching, but he's taken Emma now. Leighton, Cassandra, Molly. Guys, thank you guys so much for listening. I'm praying for you guys, and hope you have a good weekend. We'll see you back on Oh yeah, I'm not going to be here on Monday and Tuesday. We're going to the beach this weekend. I'm actually coming back. That's kind of a longer story too, but I will not be on here Monday and Tuesday morning. So I'll be back with you Wednesday. Bye.